So good afternoon, Minister O'Brien, colleagues and friends. It is an honor to be here today at the Welcoming New Communities Conference. I would like to thank the officials and organizers from the Department of Rural and Community Development for all the hard work that has gone into organizing and putting together this important conference today. My name is Bronwyn April, and I'm a social worker with nearly 2 decades of experience working in community and social development. My journey has taken me from my homeland, the beautiful yet complex South Africa, to Zambia and now Ireland. Currently, I am the project coordinator of the Strength in Diversity project at the Dublin City Community Co-op. Yeah, that's me in 1987. My why. So my work has always been driven by a deep-seated commitment to equity, diversity and inclusion, principles that I hold close to my heart. Today I want to share with you my story, my why, the challenges we face in community development, and the importance of fostering brave spaces and inclusion. Growing up in South Africa, my family and I, like so many, witnessed and experienced the harsh realities of apartheid and the deep-rooted inequalities that plague South African society even today. The sense of exclusion I felt was not just personal, but systemic. These experiences lit a fire in me, a desire to see a world where everyone is treated with dignity and respect, and where no one is left on the margins. So that's just a bit about my story. Being one of the first in my family to enter tertiary education in a post-apartheid South Africa was both a privilege and a responsibility. This era of transformation allowed me to pursue my passion for social work, driven by a vow to ensure that no one feels excluded as I once did. It was a time for hope when our nation began to address the systemic and historical injustices that had marginalized so many. This belief has been and continues to be the driving force behind my nearly 20-year career in social development spanning South Africa, Zambia, and now Ireland. The transformative power of inclusive practices is something I hold dear. South Africa's journey is far from perfect, and admittedly, there is still much work to be done. However, the courage and resilience demonstrated by my fellow South Africans in confronting systemic and historical inequalities have been a constant source of inspiration for me. It is this courage that has given me the platform I stand on today and the purpose to drive meaningful change in every community I work in. And this is just a snapshot of some of the spaces that I've been privileged to work in over my nearly 20 years in the field. Working in community development, we face numerous challenges. In South Africa, the legacy of apartheid still casts a long shadow, creating deep-seated divisions and systemic inequalities. In Zambia, poverty and limited resources pose significant hurdles to sustainable development. And here in Ireland, while the context is different, issues of integration and inclusion remain pressing. The work we do is not easy. It requires navigating complex socioeconomic landscapes, confronting entrenched biases, continually advocating for those who are on the margins. Some of the challenges I've witnessed in the community development space in Ireland include the rising xenophobia and racism, economic inequality, housing inequality, mental health, well-being, and the safety of activists and development workers, especially those who are of minority ethnic backgrounds. Technological challenges and opportunities, the lack of cultural understanding, the lack of legal and policy advocacy training, climate change impact, funding constraints, and youth disengagement. These challenges, though daunting, should not dishearten us. They remind us of the importance of solidarity and the need for a collective effort to achieve liberation for all. Everything happening in the world is interconnected, from global movements for justice to local community initiatives. Our work must reflect this interconnectedness and strive for holistic solutions. My journey has taught me that inclusion is not merely about bringing people in, but understanding the depths of exclusion they face. So I want you to pause for a minute and reflect. Recall a time when you were excluded from an event, an opportunity, or an activity. Feel the sting of that isolation, the profound sense of being unwelcome, shut out, left on the outside, looking in. Now amplify that pain and stretch it over a lifetime. This is the relentless reality for countless communities and individuals who face daily exclusion in Ireland. Imagine the weight of constant exclusion, of barriers that are never lifted. This isn't just about feeling left out. It's about lives being systematically devalued and marginalized. The social fabric frays as individuals are pushed to the margins. Psychologically, the scars run deep, eroding self-worth and breeding distrust. Emotionally, it's a crushing, relentless weight, leading to despair and hopelessness. These exclusionary practices and policies don't just hurt, they devastate. They rob people of their dignity and their potential, and it's time we confront and dismantle these barriers, recognizing the need for genuine inclusion. To effectively address the aforementioned challenges and to truly address exclusion that so many encounter, we must understand the quadrant of oppression: structural, individual, historical, and institutional. Structural oppression refers to systemic policies and practices that keep certain groups on the margins. Individual oppression involves personal biases and discriminatory behaviors and actions. Historical oppression is rooted in past injustices that continue to affect present conditions, and institutional oppression is embedded in the very fabric of our societal institutions, perpetuating inequalities. These interconnected dimensions of oppression reinforce each other, particularly impacting those most on the margins. Without an intersectional lens that considers these facets, our community development work cannot be truly effective. The quadrant highlights the experiences of those most on the margins and reminds us that systemic change requires addressing these intersecting layers of oppression. Inclusion viewed through the lens of exclusion requires us to create brave spaces. These are spaces where individuals who have been most impacted by systemic inequalities can come together, share their experiences, and drive the change we seek. It takes immense courage to do the work that we do. It demands bravery to stand up against deeply rooted injustices and to foster environments where everyone feels valued and heard. As community development workers, it is our responsibility to curate these brave spaces, to amplify the voices of the silenced, and to ensure that our work is inclusive and just. We must also recognize that true bravery begins within. To confront the biases and prejudices we hold, we need to engage in deep self-reflection. Acknowledging our own biases requires us to be honest and vulnerable. Understanding that we cannot effect external change without first doing the internal work. This process is neither easy nor comfortable, but it is essential for personal growth and the creation of genuinely inclusive communities. Brave work also requires individuals to decenter themselves. It involves recognizing the privilege we may hold and stepping back to allow those on the margins to take the lead. Passing the mic means actively listening, supporting and elevating others rather than dominating conversations. This shift is critical in ensuring that those who are most affected by systemic issues have the platform to speak their truth and advocate for their needs. Organizations, too, must embody this bravery. They need to be willing to examine their own practices, policies, and cultures to identify and dismantle the structures that perpetuate inequality. This can involve difficult conversations and significant changes, but it is necessary for fostering truly inclusive environments. Organizations should also support their members in this journey, providing resources for education and self-reflection, and creating spaces for open and honest dialogue. We must also recognize that everything transpiring in the world is interconnected. We are connected. From a global to a local level, the issues we face are part of a larger arena of systemic inequalities and injustices. Whether we are addressing racial disparities in South Africa, economic inequalities in Zambia, or social justice issues in Ireland, the underlying themes are often the same. Our work in community development is not isolated. It is part of a global movement towards equity and justice. This interconnectedness calls for a unified approach, where we learn from each other, support each other, and stand in solidarity with communities around the world. Creating brave spaces and doing the necessary internal work will be crucial toward building inclusive communities. And it is through this bravery that we can change and challenge the status quo, uplift silenced voices, and work collaboratively toward a more equitable and just world. Our work in community development is both a privilege and a responsibility. It is a call to action that requires us to be brave, empathetic, and resolute. Our work in community development is not just about words, it's about action. It is about rolling up our sleeves, standing in solidarity, and forging pathways to a more just and inclusive future. In closing, I would like to read a poem by Beth Strano as an invitation to us all to create and curate brave spaces. Together, we will create brave space, because there is no such thing as a safe space. We exist in the real world. We all carry scars, and we have all caused wounds. In this space, we seek to turn down the volume of the outside world. We amplify voices that fight to be heard elsewhere. We call each other to more truth and love. We have the right to start somewhere and continue to grow. We have the responsibility to examine what we think we know. We will not be perfect. This space will not be perfect. It will not always be what we wish it to be, but it will be our brave space together, and we will work on it side by side. Thank you for allowing me to share my journey and my vision with you today.